Okay, so there's a long history between me and the drug czar, between Sister Kate character and the drug czar of our county. The drug czar of our county, who was a sergeant, became a lieutenant and is headed for bigger things. His name is Ray Fromstead. We started out in a very contentious way, very publicly, where at a public hearing I was accusing them of putting safety over everything. That we're so safe here, but we're not going to have any jobs. Everyone's starving, but we're safe, we're safe, we're safe. And that was their position towards letting hemp commerce happen here. And there's a whole story that involves kind of Brother Dwight, where he recorded this drug czar saying that they were going to take all my product and send it to the dump and shut us down. This information was coming back to me. I was showing up at city halls. So we started out contentiously, but over the 10 years, we've become very, very big fans of each other. That's all I can say. I'm his biggest fan. He's a fan of mine. We're quiet about it. We can't let everybody know that. He has to pretend to the redneck farmers that he's hard on me. I have to pretend that he's hard on me. We play this public game. We are honest with the European media. That is hilarious because he knows no one in our county is going to read the German Gazette or the Deutschland, this or that. He's safe to be in documentaries with me and say what he wants. And so the last year we've had quite fun getting together with the media and talking about our history together and the history of the cannabis plant. Plus, he's for real and he's very well educated. He is probably the most powerful man in our county. There is the head sheriff, that's not him. But the guy with the most power is not the head sheriff. The guy with the most power is Ray Fromstead. And I happened to have just seen him last night at the state fair, and where we're living under a new set of cease and desist orders. Basically, our license renewals are being denied because of a law change that is driving all the products into dispensaries. It's driving non psychoactive hemp to be treated like psychoactive hemp, to be taxed like psychoactive hemp. And it basically could put us out of business. I ran into him last night and he said that he's actually applied to be head of the Cannabis Control Board. That would be a game changer. He'd be leaving law enforcement and going into legislation, and I think that would be great for California, for him and for me. So anyway, there's this whole development story between me and the law enforcement, us, the many times we've had them here, the early times when they were very hostile to what we were doing, the later times where they just come for tea and to try our mushroom coffee. And there's the story to be told there. There's also stories involving other law enforcement, like a woman in a county north of us had a third generation, fourth generation family nursery, and she wanted to cultivate and sell hemp plants, and the sheriff wouldn't let her. And so they asked us to come up there and speak for them at a public hearing with the citizens. And while we were there, their sheriff really showed how ignorant he is. I don't know if the listeners to this know this, but in California and the West Coast, Mexico, most places, everyone knows that the term marijuana was a derogatory term, and we prefer to use the Latin term cannabis, the scientific term. So no one in the industry uses that word. I think it was a big finger to us in the industry when the oversight board put that in their name. But whatever. Anyway, this particular sheriff got up there and spoke, and he kept talking about marijuana, marijuana this and marijuana that, and how he wasn't going to let marijuana in his county, and over his dead body would there be marijuana. So then Brother Dwight went up, and he wanted me to do it, and I said, no, you do it. So Brother Dwight went up and explained why marijuana is a derogatory term, how it was used to create a propaganda campaign against the Mexican people so that they could legally take their lands. And he gave some history. On the way out, though, because he was standing with me, obviously, with my group, on the way out, I'm with three other sisters and him. This sheriff leans into me very rudely and says, marijuana, marijuana, marijuana. So the other sisters were appalled, but I was like, come on, let's go home. And then on the way home, or by the time we got home, I said, let's order donuts. Let's order donuts from where they get their donuts and make sure that we send a note with it. So we did that. We found the closest donut place to that sheriff's station, and we made sure that that donut place served that station. And then we ordered 2 dozen donuts for that station with a note that said, from the Sisters in the Valley, because we know learning is hard. And that was in the early days when everybody had tracker applications. And I was like, wow, we can track and see when these donuts arrive, sisters. So all the sisters are gathered in my office and we're watching the donuts go from the donut shop, like 4 blocks over to the sheriff's department. And then when it gets there, it's there for a long time. And all of a sudden, we get a phone call and they say that the sheriff's refused our donuts and they're crediting us the money on the donuts. So they wouldn't take our donuts because I think they didn't like our note. We have other such stories.